Oh shit, what up? Here come that Alice. At
It's
the
good to see you again, Alice.
yeah, at the metaphorical table this evening, we have Scarlet Magnum returning, the great and powerful Ozzy Richmond, and Jackson Piranha Sukahara. I was like, I know it's a type of fish.
Yeah, carnivorous
got it,
fish,
yeah.
baby. You know what's up.
Jackson carnivorous fish Sukahara.
There
Yeah.
we go. Hey, it works. It works.
Nom, baby.
It has been like a year or more since you guys
Yeah,
have.
it's
It
been a
definitely
little bit
feels like
more
that.
than a year.
For
Yeah.
those who watched the last episode, my hair was longer.
And I said some things that I very much regret.
I mean, it wasn't that
And
Jack-
it wasn't that bad, but I think I spilled the beans a little bit too much.
Jackson's facial hair has gone through changes and then undergone more changes and then
Yeah.
went back.
Yeah, it's going back. It's going back. Don't worry. It's
Going through changes.
Yeah, apparently my name's a Black Sabbath promotional stunt, so whoop-de-fucking-do, you know?
Ozzy R.
Yeah. But then again, I'm not eating bats, so let's count our blessings. So
There you go.
yeah.
I just watched an interview with Ozzy, not this Ozzy.
Okay.
I was like,
It's like
which one?
And
since
he
when
was
did I do an interview recently?
This was
is
like
the most recent one.
70s, 80s, and he was Ozzy was like tripping balls in this interview.
When is he not?
I think I know which one you're talking about. It's like, how are you, Oz? And he's like kind of staring off into space, you know, the big glass.
He's like, what?
What? It's like not even. Oh, that interview. I thought you were talking about that interview where it's like, it's like, and he's like, yeah, like laser focus on the interviewer's breasts or whatever, and it's like, you know, he's looking at something, but you don't know what it is, which makes it even more sketchy.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you recently moved to the area since
February.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yes,
not
sir.
recently, in between when you were here last and now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's do a little bit of a recap of how we spent our time
the last episode of Dragon Ball Z.
previously on the Rhetoric rabbit hole. But basically, we did our Dark Matter show on.
Yeah, all 10 people
all
loved us. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, it was a start. Courtney Nicole was there.
I think I was at that
Corey.
show, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were.
That's
Yeah,
the first time you
and
saw
I
us.
think also it was Chris Jackson.
That was the
there.
first time I saw you guys.
It was also our first show.
Was
ever.
that Silent?
That was our
Monolith
first.
too?
Yeah,
Monolith,
and Titans
yeah.
of Siren.
And Titans of Siren.
And then
that was a great
it's like
show.
everyone left when Titans of Siren were finished with their set, and there was barely anyone left for Silent Monolith. And that taught me a lesson. That taught me a lesson when it comes to booking shows. Be sure to get a band with a good draw. Like, it's like, I know it sounds obvious, but be sure to get a band with a good draw of young people to headline the night, because you don't want it's like you can't judge crap off of an Instagram follower count, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Or a monthly listener count or anything.
Going off of that, it broke my heart to see the crowd when we opened for the FUs.
Yeah.
There was like 3 people in that crowd.
Like,
FUs
it's
are
like
awesome.
7 or 8 people
have you seen
counting
them
us.
I haven't. I'm familiar with them. I don't think are they.
They're
like stadium level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's like, it's no shocker why they absolutely owned Los Angeles on the few shows that they did there.
That was their correct.
I have heard similar legends. I haven't seen them. Am I thinking of someone else? Or are they like not playing live anymore?
They're doing like their indefinite
Yeah.
hiatus, you know, doing the silver chair thing.
So fingers crossed, but
yeah.
So they're still making music, I guess.
They're still making music.
It's just the one guy, singer. Who does
Matt Estevez,
Cool.
kind of,
He recently went. I don't know if he's still undergoing it, but he recently undergone surgery for his ACL.
Yeah.
So our other guest actually just showed up. The great and powerful Jones Kolbinsky.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Well, thank you very much for asking me to join.
Of course.
I'm gonna plug myself.
All right.
I'm already plugged.
Plug it in.
I'm gonna
plug
plug
it.
it. I'm gonna plug
Shameless.
my shit. I'm shamelessly plugged. This is coming out next week, so I've got a Cafe Coco and Betty's. Those aren't like necessarily pluggable shows, but I got them. August 30th at Coco, September 20th at Betty's with my band. I just put a live EP out yesterday.
Not too bad.
Little 4-song live EP. 3 years ago, I had a friend pass away who was a songwriter, and his mother asked me, it's C'est La Vie, right? And his mom asked me to compile a bunch of his songs, and I put off like every other project that I've been doing and made an album out of 20 of Carter's songs.
Wow.
Some of them are like he did completely. Some of them he never recorded outside of like his phone, and then some of them he and I like split 50-50.
Okay.
I think it's like the best thing I've ever done.
Oh,
and any, streams, or if you buy a CD from that or whatever,
the
it goes
proceeds
to
go to his family or something.
his family set up an educational fund in Minton,
wow.
Alabama,
That's
and
so
they
cool.
like buy a kid a guitar and lessons for a year type of thing. It's a music education program.
That is super sweet.
It's great. We had a release show at the Bowery Vault now 2 months ago, which is crazy.
Oh wow.
And had a really great turnout. Sold some merch, sold some CDs, and
not too bad. How much
made a couple? It
raise?
was like a couple $100.
Not too bad.
400, $500.
That's good for like
in cash,
a small place
local,
like Bowery.
like 50-person room. Everybody was being, obviously, it's like generous.
Sure. Super generous, yeah.
But got to put some money in Lucy's pocket. That whole weekend was like really, really special.
Oh yeah.
And I've never been a part of like a charitable event, and at least like tied to music. And there's so much of that in town that is like everybody. I think a lot of people get wrapped up in like playing gigs, record. Like obviously, it's like we're all pursuing our music, right?
Precisely,
but there's a lot of opportunities to like give back to the community.
Oh yeah,
lessons.
Definitely, yeah.
The W.O. Smith School on 8th Ave. It's like a nonprofit
cool.
music organization that gives free lessons. You can donate to them. You can play there, give lessons.
Yeah,
great way to like actually, I think people are like, I want to impact people's lives through music. It's like, all right, find a kid who can't afford music lessons to give it to him for free. So, anyways,
get them started young.
It was really rad. It was really cool. Those 2 releases are out, and then that's that, man. I'm working on a musical right now. Like a Broadway style music.
Dude,
I'm doing nothing. I can't claim it, but it's just good press or whatever. It's a Danger Junior, which is this comedy collective. Patsy is one of the most talented, amazing people I know. She's written all the songs and like.
You mean King Arthur's Horse?
Was that the name of King Arthur's Horse? in Monty Python.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I haven't.
And my trusty servant Patsy.
I haven't called her that. I'm going to now. I'll let her know.
Yeah.
Tails.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's a penny right there, but I won't pick it up.
Well, I grabbed one that was heads over here, so.
No way.
Yeah,
I wonder if there's any
lucky
more
day.
around.
Yeah, there probably is.
Oh shit, there's one.
There's a third.
Oh shit, there's a gold nugget.
No wait,
There's
actual
friggin'
rubber band. Oh, sorry.
There's a silver ingot on the ground.
All right.
Yeah, call it.
I'm just gonna turn this guy into a
That's
friggin'
funny.
loot drop for real.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's all of our lucky days.
There we go. Dude.
Yeah.
So you also do improv.
Yes, way less now. I'm like probably the best improviser in the city. I'll reel that back. I'm not the
Which
best.
Which sources back that up?
I'm the funniest improviser in the city.
Forbes.
That's just me.
Better
being,
Business Bureau.
Yelp. That's me just being like a cocky, arrogant bastard. There's like a really dumb competition that there's only one improv club in the city, and I have a checkered past with it. And they have this annual competition that's like it's called the United States of Improv.
Okay.
And you do improv with your the state you grew up in. And it's like a new troupe, and like people you've never improvised with before, and it's like a bracket style thing, and the audience decides who's the funniest state or whatever. And the first year they did that, I was Team Georgia. We won the whole thing.
Wow.
And then I was working at the club, and they fired me. And so the next year, I was kind of drifting around. I probably can claim to like 4 home states at this point.
Wow.
So I was like, all right, I'll do Team North Carolina, and like fuck you all. And we got it was not just improv is not a 1-person game, but
for sure, yeah.
We were all sort of like, hey, let's just really give it our best, and we got back to the finals. Nice. And we came in second place.
Not bad.
And that's my metric in my brain and in my egotistical psycho heart that sometimes you got
or the little
let into the
section
life.
of the heart that.
Yeah, it's not the whole thing. It's not the whole
Yeah.
thing.
It's not the
Thank
whole
God. But
We'll just lobotomize that little
far
section just to keep your
corner.
ego in check.
yes, yeah,
Dusty receded corner of the heart.
Yeah.
yeah, certainly. Yeah. But
It's like the ego is kind of like tucked away. It's like in a dusty fucking room, and
you
there's
gotta
like
let feed it sometimes.
alcohol bottles strewn about the place. Friggin' dog food thing filled with like some moldy Cheetos or whatever.
My ego is a gimp tied to the radiator. Just toss him with some fucking dog food. Like, eat it.
My ego is a gimp. It's a good album name, I think. But since then, I really haven't been doing much improv. I've been kind of studio tanning. Like I haven't gone out. I'm working on a lot of music right now.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of very heavy music, and it's like sort of taxing. But I love improv. I've been doing improv for fucking ever. It's just like the one improv club in Nashville. They think I'm the devil, so I just like.
Are you the devil?
No, well, equal parts.
You're the devil.
Equal parts light and yeah. I've got some contracts.
All right.
No. So I love improv. I do improv with Danger Jr., but we like to make fun of improv as an art form, or like just like mess with the form, because it's so structured. And improv has been done the same way since like arguably the 90s, if not early 2000s for sure, where it's like you have this sort of flowchart, this UCB or Second City, like all the games have been played, and so we wanted to do improv in a different way. And a big part of that is like really heavily handed breaking the rules of improv. Like you're supposed to establish things as you go along in a scene and like be clever and witty and sort of wry. And I had a teacher tell me that it's like holding something in your pocket the whole scene until you're ready to go like so what we do is like, all right, we get the suggestion and we're like, let's begin the scene. It's like, I'm an ice cream truck driver, my name's Paul and your name is Dan. Like like off the bat, like throwing it in the audience's faces of like, we're stupid and you're gonna watch this stupid bullshit and there's nowhere you can go, the doors are locked.
That's the best kind of comedy.
It's funny. It works.
That's the same method I use for podcasting. It's like, we're fucking idiots and you're gonna fucking watch this.
Don't take any of this.
The only difference is we're not funny.
It's like you get like the starving poodle on the other side of the room. You're gonna watch this.
Well, y'all made me crack up a couple times at least this time. And we're only 10 minutes.
It's like starving poodle. Kind of low key resembles a football. Okay.
We're joking about throwing dogs now.
I don't know. It's just my weird imagination.
Throwing dogs is no joke. It's a way of life. It's style. We have a whole guild.
How do you indoctrinate people?
The Flying Canines Guild of America.
A league is what I meant to say, but a guild.
Airborne Canines Association.
Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's
stay on animal.
Oh my God, that's it. The Flying Fido Foundation.
PETA would love that.
Yeah.
Triple F. Do y'all have dogs or pets?
I used to. I had 3 chihuahuas.
I have 3 cats.
3 cats.
Mm-hmm.
Those are dogs.
They're kind of pets.
I have well, I didn't have, well, I was lying. So when I was
you didn't say anything.
Shut up. But basically, when I was much younger, I had a cat named Luna. She was pretty sweet.
Great cat name.
Yeah,
that's
and then we had a Maltipoo.
What's that?
It's a dog named Benji, and he was very energetic. It's like the dog was hypoallergenic and still triggered my mother's allergies. Like she had to get an inhaler and everything. It was nasty.
Didn't have
and then my stepsisters for the longest time they had 3 guinea pigs.
Yeah,
3 guinea pigs. Shout out Ashley Barnes. Please break 1 million followers on TikTok, whatever you're doing. So it's like they had 3 guinea pigs. I think their names were Cinnamon, Snowy, and Pudding,
Those are
or whatever.
C-tier names.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Did they not? Did they like eat each other?
Bro, they weren't
Whoa.
cannibals. I mean,
Guinea
I
pigs
think
do that though, right?
I think
No.
two of them died off. Two of them died off.
From cannibals.
Cannibalism, yeah.
I think one of them had like some sort of infection, and then the other one, I think Cinnamon and Snowy died, and like I think it was my stepdad or one of the stepsisters. I can't remember for the life of me. They're like, "Hey, one of them isn't moving, and they haven't been moving for like a day."
Yeah.
It was embarrassing. So I think they buried them in the backyard or something.
Yeah, we let one just into the woods.
Oh my god, that didn't
Pretty-
last long.
Food chain, baby.
Yeah. We're going down the guinea pig hole now, but yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
It's
I read
like-
an article. I felt so bad recently. I was like, we had a guinea pig. It was Sally, and like, I was probably 10 or 11 when we got her, and like within 2 years, I was out of the house, and my mom was like, "You need to take care of the guinea pig," but then it just becomes this, like another sort of. It's not like it's not like a dog, and we had 2 dogs, and I was very active with helping with the dogs and the cats and everything. But we had the guinea pig, and like I definitely did not give her enough attention.
Yeah.
And I was a child, all I wanted to do was play PlayStation, but I read recently, it's just so. We got her from like it was like $5 guinea pig after karate class that somebody just like left, like 6 of them.
Based.
So we took one, and we didn't,
It's like they get lonely.
yeah, dude.
It's like
I
illegal
had
in
no
Switzerland.
idea that they're like you have to have at least 3 or like
2 or 3.
you have to have. I felt so bad that like basically this poor creature's entire life was just miserable and sad and alone.
Damn.
It was just begging to be in Peru. I swear to God.
Yeah, or just
Okay. I'm sorry.
They would have had a better time at PetSmart. I
What?
felt so bad.
I'm
You can't
sorry.
get one guinea pig.
I'm sorry to derail rhetoric guinea pig hole.
Oh, it's okay.
But you said Peru, and
Yeah.
did you guys hear about what's happening in Peru right now with the gold mining?
Wait, what?
No.
Okay, there. I just read about this story last night. This is
Gold
like,
mining. I'm sure it's a good story. I'm sure
Oh,
it's uplifting.
fantastic.
We love
Some
gold
probably
mining
since like
stories.
Chile, some miners got stuck or whatever.
No, like seriously, like warning. This is like some really fucked up shit.
Let's hear it. I
So,
love fucked
okay,
up shit.
Buckle up,
dude.
kids. It's about to get real.
This is like, as far as I know, like relatively new news, like this month, this week type shit.
Okay.
So there has been there's an indigenous tribe in Peru
Right.
that has been saying we're being attacked by like these like 7-foot glowing eyes flying aliens.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Wait,
All right.
what?
That's
Okay.
what it's about.
So that's just established.
Okay.
Turns out
They
these
were
are
right?
no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found out.
These are illegal gold miners in Peru that are
Whoa.
flying around with jetpacks and peeling the faces off of this indigenous tribe to get them out of their land. Like they're grab them because apparently there's a myth in that village of these like flying face peeler.
I'm sure there are more
Whoa.
efficient methods to get them out.
Whoa.
Well, that's classic, like psyop. shit.
Psyop,
We would do when we were, I think, I believe it's Japan and Indonesia. When we were doing island warfare, we would like send, like we would dye foxes black,
Oh,
I
shit.
believe, and like that's a bad omen for the Japanese. Like the States have been doing that shit for. It's gonna come out that these guys are like funded by the CIA,
George Soros, or the CIA.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's George Soros. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if the
dude's got-
CIA either.
dude's got stacks, political power, and a few rotting states to count to his total. So there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my fucked up Peru thing.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't even know that.
It is cool. It's fucking metal as shit.
Just
Yeah.
money, dude. There's no. My roommate and I were having we were just like, oh, like it always comes down to it. Anything that could be labeled as conspiratorial or deep state, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's just it always comes down to capital and like
Sure.
who has
Yeah.
the money and what do they want to do with it, and
Exactly.
why having the money usually involves like actions of oppression, because it's like,
Mhm.
well, like why would you want to relinquish power if you've already constructed so much power. So
Yeah.
I'm not any. The whole alien thing that's happening right now, I'm sure that it's to cover up a different, more upsetting news story.
Yeah.
Like the submarine shit. Like, why are we talking about this? Who gives a fuck?
Wait, what submarine?
There was
the submersible.
Yeah, here I am.
Oh, the
talking about
Titanic,
it, right? It's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
It's like there was this.
the FDA approved lab grown meat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm cool with that.
And,
that's
like,
fine, but like that's a
there's-
way bigger story than submarine.
There's this meme that I saw, and it was so funny. I think I showed Jackson it. So it was like Titanic death tolls. It's like 1912 is this giant
I've seen
spike,
that. Yeah, I remember.
and then 2023.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I watched a what do you call it? Simulation about like what a person inside the submarine, like what their body would go through, like
Wow.
with the implosion. And I was like, it's just you get pink misted, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
You
we do
just
it like
immediately pop, right?
slow motion it, and like
Wow.
walk through like the vibration coming up through and then like into them. It's pretty messed up.
That'd be like
It was fake.
instantaneous though, right?
Just
yeah,
about,
within like
yeah.
a few milliseconds. Wow. Yeah.
You
I
pop
feel-
like a balloon.
I feel mostly
Yeah.
bad for the 19-year-old who's like forced to go on by his dad. Like,
Yeah.
he did not
That is
My
great.
man,
Yeah.
100% just wanted to
I
like
mean, the Coast Guard tried their
smoke weed and play
damnedest.
Fortnite.
I mean, we haven't found this thing, right? So like, it's
The
possible.
Titanic?
no, the submarine that imploded.
Yeah.
No, there's not going to be. I don't think.
I'm pretty
I mean,
sure.
so like,
bits and pieces on
so
the ground.
tinfoil hat. Maybe it's like they just got the fuck out of there and like
Honestly,
faked their death.
honestly, I'm thinking that like my theory, and I'm coming up with this on the spot. There might be a grain of truth to it. I don't know. Let's see how this goes. What I'm thinking is that the submersible did implode. The occupants weren't inside some deep sea space
Not as it was
like
ever.
undersea civilization. You know, kind
Oh,
of
like,
welcomed them into their quarters,
Agartha.
and then they took the 19-year-old.
You're
Was like,
into-
hey, we got weed.
You like under
We got weed. You want
seaweed.
Seaweed.
Yeah, yeah.
Seaweed.
We got seaweed. Yeah.
You into
Do you have a
underwater
lighter, bro?
civilizations?
I mean, I think Agartha is kind of interesting.
What is Agartha?
Agartha is like okay,
Atlantis, but
yeah,
legit.
yeah, not that fake shit.
It's
It's
like
another
Agartha's
one.
like the low rent section of the low rent district of Atlantis.
There's like a bunch of ancient cultures that talk about like either Atlantis or Shambhala or
Yeah.
Agartha. Which
Yeah,
is like
I was
a
seeing a
hidden
lot of stuff
city.
from Mr. Mythos about Shambhala. It's really interesting.
Yeah, a lot of UFO sightings are like over either like the poles or I mean like coming from the poles or like out of the ocean and shit.
Yeah, or like right around the equator as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, so
Here's
it's
another thing about all this fucking UFO bullshit. It's all U.S. based, or largely, maybe not all.
oh
I mean,
And like I know we're like the large superpower. We got the military, and it's like
and we got
it's the
Groom
biggest
Lake.
navy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all of that stuff aside. It's like if this were some sort of nexus, or like we're reaching the top of the bell curve when it comes to aerial phenomenon, and like we're gonna have a like hard line disclosure or what have you. It's like, well, Iran's not talking about this. I don't know. Apparently, Japan's had like a couple, but there's not another. Russia isn't talking about aerial phenomenon. Maybe they are, and I don't have good news sources. But it just seems again.
It's like I know a lot of South American nations have been fairly open about their UFO sightings.
Africa too.
Oh, yeah.
But are they that as
Not
like? Are they
frequent.
as
No.
frequent? Right.
Well, of course, there's a bunch of hillbillies
Well, the
going, I
fucking
saw a
dude,
UFO.
And then it's like
I'm
a
sure
helicopter.
the
Yeah.
kids in that South African school
Yeah.
that were contacted. I'm sure you all know.
No way.
Yeah, I'm deep down. I'm deep down.
That's why we're homies, bro.
Yeah.
That's why I'm with you on that shit too.
Yeah.
They were like,
Rose going out like Childhood's End.
what's that?
Arthur C. Clarke novel.
Oh, yeah.
OG sci-fi.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I've read nerd shit. Yeah, whatever.
I've read
Yeah.
Asimov.
It's like
but
bro
not-
wrote his friggin' novels in the middle of Sri Lanka, and he spends his
I know
this
Arthur's-
dude legit spent his honeymoon like proofreading his next novel. And I don't know if his wife really.
My roommate has referenced him on more than one occasion. I've always like people. There's a great quote that my old roommate always we would use as sort of a mantra that it's a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. And we're living in such a good a good like era and timeline for that, where it's like even just names of authors, playwrights, film directors, fucking podcasters, what have you. All the time it's like, well, have you heard of this guy? And it's like fucking a Rolodex of a billion fucking things. And you're like, yes. And then it's like, oh, I get like, am I an idiot because I
There's
don't
like a
know
ton of
everything
I think
about
so. Yeah.
exactly.
You guys
And then
Sorry,
this album, this musician, whatever. And I don't know. I'm just so tired of it. I've been saying no so much more lately. Even if I did like, this guy, and even if it's like maybe vaguely, I won't say maybe vaguely. I'll be like, no, dude, tell me about him. Just tell me about him. And share with me your expertise, and then if I maintain the information, great. I probably, as soon as I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm gonna forget everything you just told me about
unless
this
it's
author.
truly like mind-blowingly
resonating, or like I love cultural importance. And I love stories. I love stories about human beings and different parts of time. We all do, right? Like
totally.
Humanity is it's a beautiful thing. It's a fucked up thing, and it's like it has a really like tragic history, but there's so much
there's like a
beautiful stuff
beauty to it.
Yeah.
He co-wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh shit!
I watched that movie 2 days ago.
That's a great
film.
Yeah. So like, of course, I know who
Arthur.
Arthur
It was like the movie and then the book, and it was so weird.
Right.
But those monoliths weren't silent.
Well, wait.
They had like this weird friggin' frequency, and it like kind of freaked out the apes, freaked out the astronauts, and then
frequencies.
Bro, just HAL 9000, just predicting basically HAL 9000. I think is like Siri's grandpa or whatever.
Open the bay doors, Hal. I can't do that, John, or whatever the fuck.
Dave.
Yeah.
Can't do that, Dave.
I only know because you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you got to get the quote right. And it's like, had I not watched the fucking movie literally 2 days ago, and you had said John said Dave, I would have been like, yeah,
it's a basic
on that.
Cool.
So
and also it doesn't fucking matter.
On this information,
really doesn't matter.
you guys know about ChatGPT?
Oh yeah,
I know about it.
Yeah.
It is.
I know what.
It's like I honestly find
I feel
it
like
kind
we're
of
on the same level.
Kids are cheating on their exams with it. That's the only thing that I know
like,
about.
Oh, dude,
what's really scary to
big time.
me is like you see all of these AI generated music, all of this AI generated art, literature,
and it's all
whatever.
garbage.
It's shit. Yeah,
well,
exactly. But
it's
like when AI starts to create, and that AI is gonna get better and better and better and better. And I think I think the whole
it can't
concept of just AI creating stuff.
It can't create anything. It can only replicate things.
Yeah, it's a
exactly. And
so
the replication.
And what I was going to say is what's interesting about this information age or misinformation age is it's getting a lot of predictions wrong because people are feeding it bullshit. Like if it's going off the internet, that's a flawed source of information. Like a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't.
Not according to my aunt and uncle.
Like it doesn't have perfect discernment about like QAnon's a great example of like it doesn't know. There's so much shit on the internet that it doesn't know what's
how to
real.
discern.
Yeah. And I think as long as AI is limited by its human creators, for lack of a better description, as long as we keep AI stupid to a certain extent, I think creativity is safe. Human creativity is safe.
I kind of see where you're coming from.
Everything might be made, all art might be AI generated in the future, but it still is basing that off of something people did previously.
Exactly.
Not all art.
I don't think it'll get to that point,
never, dude.
But I'm just saying, even if it did, it still has to have a human component to it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it doesn't resonate with us if it's AI generated. I find that kind of fascinating, and
I think it'd be a useful tool for artists to like, for example, like writing prompts.
Yeah,
like that's it can be useful as a tool if people don't like abuse it.
Exactly. Yeah. Prince said something similar in some 2005 awards ceremony. Like, you use the computer. Don't let the computer use you.
Yeah. It's a weird time to be alive. I'm sure everyone in human history has felt this way.
Definitely.
But it really is like we're at like this weird time in technology where it's like we've had cars and like electricity for like this tiny little blip in human history, but like that's like
enough to transform the world.
Yeah, and that is just the beginning of it. Like AI is now another huge jump in technology.
Yeah.
And we're at an unprecedented time.
There's I listen to I know this is fucking podcast fodder to reference another podcast or whatever, but like my go-to just like put into my veins news like dead brain bullshit is Chapo, like Chapo Trap House. They're like a dirtbag left podcast, and they did a funny like read through. It's like a reading series of an article that was like, AI is coming and robots are coming. Shouldn't we be thinking about their human rights or their civil rights? I should say. And like their, like what? How are we going to address robotic civil rights?
Yeah, is there such a thing as like non-binary?
There's
code?
like actually kind of like a component.
Holy shit, that's a good joke.
There's like actually kind of a component to that if they become like.
Well, I only bring it up because it's like, what about? Like, we haven't gotten our civil
human rights.
Yeah, we haven't. Like, there's still fucking kids in cobalt mines making a penny a day that are like getting lung cancer. It's like, I think that we need to address the crisis of capital before we start talking about like
AI human that can wait.
Yeah.
Well, it's classic just getting ahead of ourselves, which is the same thing. Like, I think that the technology itself is like ahead of itself. Fucking. All the NFT bros I've ever known are like, this is the way, dude. This is the fucking way. Like, when it comes to like, you're gonna buy your weed with Bitcoin. Like, you're gonna since 2010, I've been being told what the future is by
and it never comes.
Well, it's just like it's never as concrete as they present it. It's like VR. You're gonna be in VR every night, bro. It's like no, I'm not. I'm playing guitar.
Zuckerberg does his little metaverse thing, and everyone's like, "Please, no."
Exactly.
Like, no, please.
And going back to your comment on whatever it was, I think that at times it's like just looking at things from afar. It's that the Western world has had its head up its ass for so long that we are sort of. Let me see if I can try to find the best way to describe this. I think the Western world has had its head up its ass so long about these cycles of, whatever the trending cause is.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're like a materialistic culture. It's like you have to keep trends going.
Exactly, yeah. And I think like sort of stemming off of that, it's like I'm becoming, more and more convinced that we're slowly losing that sort of virtue when you see like every third or fifth girl on a dating app like doing an OnlyFans side gig, or you go on TikTok, a similar thing is happening, or it's like whatever the top trending songs are, it's just very little in terms of lyrical content of substance, and it's just like in whatever it was like 1952 or whatever, baby it's cold outside, something sweet, kind of quaint, and then you have something like it's like I know it's like a little bit in the past compared to today, but like then you have something like Baby Got Back. Stark fucking contrast.
Do you mean like it's raunchier?
It's raunchier. There's like I don't think there's barely any sort of substance in contemporary music if we're just talking on a really high level.
I don't think it's lesser art at all. I think
from a
I think it's
production
different.
standpoint, it's way more like it's more interesting.
It's like trying to compare two different genres, and it's like they're just different.
So
precisely.
In Hinduism, the age that we're in right now, there's 7 cycles of being, and we're in the Kali Masa, which is the age of decline, right?
Okay.
But like and I think about this all the time because it seems from like left, right, center, whatever division you want to try and
kind of
bring
brand it
up,
as
whatever religion.
Is that any
whatever
West
socio-political
versus
divide.
East ideology. There's like all the talking points are that like, oh, our culture is like not as we're trying to make America great again, or we're trying to have a return to normalcy. We're always trying to go back into an era that was perceived as better. But like, I mean, these things stretch eons, and the whole point, I believe, of the teaching of these 7 eons. And if I was a good Hindu, I would know all of their names and the cycles they represent. But I'm not, so I don't.
I had a person like very well versed in this. He's a Krishna guy. Come on the show. Tell me all about
Hare
this.
Krishna.
No way,
So
cool. Right.
it's like, I think that the purpose is to, when you are like made aware of that you're in the age of death and the age of decline, that it's like there's an inherent life to that. Like you cannot have an age of ascension without an age of decline. It's that mirrored self type of binary reality that we live in, at least here on Earth, of like death makes life worth living. The same thing.
True.
And so if you take that on a cultural or global or just like being level, I think that you can choose to say like, well, because all America's in decline, the art is in decline, and the morals are in decline, and the perspective relationships are in decline. They're not going to be as good. But then it's like, well, then that makes that one relationship, that one song, that one whatever, like even more like it's
even more
pure
special.
gold. When you can find that, and I think that you can always find, no matter when or where you're incarnated, you can always find that. And also, if you're on probably the ascension, where it's like everything is fucking perfect all the time, we're in heaven, then you're like, gonna have a Lucifer type of archetype of somebody being like, well, if I'm gonna take a shit on the floor right there or whatever, and like it's like, oh, this is this unbelievable, like it's all about balance, right? So and energetic and vibrational alignment and balance, trying to return to that stasis, that center. So that makes I don't know. Sense. I would I completely understand where you're coming from, and like it seems to be that, but I think that just like a little like conversation with God and conversation with yourself is like you find a way to like observe the decline and observe the bullshit and not get wrapped up into it. Wrapped up being like falling for like front row Travis Scott concert, or being like I can't stand that Travis. He's a menace, right? Like either way, a full rejection or a full exception, I think, is like
that's it, man.
You're being
sold. It's all about balance, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so people it's like I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. Like it's like I'm a human.
Yeah, like just the same as the guy down the street or whatever. Hick is 50 miles away, so is the president. I mean, like
it's an easy way. I'm very much a humanist. Like I believe that the nature of people is good ultimately.
Yeah,
and I think there are factors in our society that specifically put us against each other to make it not that way. So like we have this sick culture that's like where we're kind of at odds with each other, but that is not human nature. That is some kind of manipulation, whether we're talking about spiritual, whether we're talking about extraterrestrial, we're talking about just greed, like capitalist greed, and it's like something something's in the way. It's
I think that something has to be the way. I think it would be a challenge otherwise.
Exactly.
Because I think like I've talked to a lot of people about like these kind of things like on the show actually, and most people kind of are on the same page where it's like if you look at what's presented in like the media or even social media, you get a like a very skewed version of reality.
Yeah, it's very convoluted and
that's like not what people really think.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you like have a real communication with someone, you find out like, oh, actually we have a lot in common. You can do that with literally anyone.
Yeah.
Way more in common with, I mean, I agree that there's sort of an intentional divide. I think that it's most often between race and between political lines because
so, like those are the dividing lines that are emphasized the most. Right?
By like the ruling classes because they would rather have division amongst the underclass than organization amongst the underclass.
Yeah,
it's, Leviathan, Hobbes, and all the Thomas Hobbes.
Totally. I think like George Carlin, I think summarized it best. Like, I think. So I'm trying to remember how it went. Like it's like the permanent political class, the upper class, whatever you want to call it as, reaps all of the benefits and pays none of the taxes. The middle class are there to be worked to death and pay most of the taxes. The lowest of the low class are just there to scare the shit out of the middle class.
Yeah.
Or something to that extent, but I don't want to get too lost down that tangent.
Did you finish your thought? Did you have more to add to that?
I don't know.
It's gone now.
Yeah.
This is not my area of expertise. So I'm just kind of silent the whole
time.
Linen,
I'm not here like halfway through something. I didn't know if you.
No. I'd say I just think it's really important to read Vladimir Lenin.
Okay.
I think it's really people don't read. I mean, even just like any. I mean, Russia has the greatest novelists of all time. Period. Like period.
Yeah,
don't even Dostoevsky.
Oh, okay.
Fyodor. Among many others. And I mean, Lenin is just a very interesting read. He has very, very short books. And it's very easy. I find a lot of these anxieties that are sort of mirrored in our culture. He writes about beautifully during like the pre-Bolshevik Revolution, the sort of
pre-formation of the Soviet Union.
Right. Yeah. This living under a decadent society when you can't afford bread and it's different obviously, but they were going through a technological revolution as well as a political revolution. And we're kind of going exactly. Definitely a political shift right now and a technological shift. I don't know if they're revolutions, but I don't know if there will ever be any more revolutions.
The revolution's like a circle, right?
Yeah,
when it comes all back around.
That's exactly right. I think that they're intentionally made subtly these days.
Oh yeah.
It's
just nothing that's gonna be landing in like your middle school history textbook.
I think there's a big emphasis on like erasing the past. Like in North Korea, they have like a very like the history that they're taught because it's not like they really get an education, but like it goes back like very not far at all,
right?
And it's like if you don't know where you've been,
that's what we're doing in Florida. You can't learn about slavery, right? Like
that. Wait, really? Holy
shit!
Like
the whole point of I don't know if that's.
I know DeSantis is on like some crazy shit, but that I didn't know that. That's wild.
The whole what I believe a big part of critical race theory is like I'm sure that it's not all this, but from what I have seen, a large part of the critique of that cultural critique, I suppose, is that it's like civil rights erasure and like slavery erasure and being like yes, we had slaves, but a lot of them learned how to use their hand, and when they were free, they could start their own businesses.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's like
it's a bit of a whitewashing of a
That's
pretty
fucked up.
terrible thing that we did, and I think that we're still psychically dealing with the effects of.
Sure.
And I'm sure there's much more information that has either been withheld from the current curriculum, or
not to mention the Native American genocide, how this country was founded. I think we have a lot of psychic weight on us as Americans that we don't know how to get rid of as a collective.
Well said.
I just think, and so that may be the key to our dysfunction is reprimanding ourselves in some way, or at least just forgiving ourselves.
Maybe a dialogue is what can heal it. Just
some sort of dialogue. Yeah. Well, I mean, I find there's probably more dialogue now than ever.
Sure.
I feel like just sitting around and having something like this is a net good.
Yeah.
4 people in a room talking about anything at all.
A big part of why I do this is for me. Because I get different opinions about.
Precisely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to say anything that would be too risky because there's a friggin' camera in front of me.
I also, I try not to have that be a thing where it's say whatever the fuck you want. There's very few people, and I know this is a controversial opinion, but there's very few people I wouldn't sit here and talk to. And I know that is a controversial statement itself, which is kind of odd to me. But it's here's my take on that is you don't know what a bad idea is unless you can combat it. So it's
yes.
So it's how do you know that you don't believe that unless you can give a pushback to it?
I find it incredibly important to I take in media that I disagree with on actively. Sometimes it's as easy as your uncle will text you some crazy shit from the other side of the aisle, right? Instead of seeing the article and being I don't agree with this or whatever, challenging yourself to read it. And my dad sent me an Ann Coulter or no. This is the Megyn Kelly podcast, which right off the bat, and I was ready to just be I'm busy for this. And then I was in the car and I was I'll listen to the first 30 minutes. And I listened to more than 30 minutes. And there are parts that I was well, this is very interesting. And I agree with, and there are parts where I'm this is complete bullshit. But it's to understand the rationale, right? Because if you can understand the rationale of even somebody you don't agree with, you're still able to meet them halfway and not demonize someone. Now
exactly
in her podcast, she was name calling college liberals and cool. Definitely drawing line being we're it's everybody's hypocritical, right? You're oh no, totally. we're the side of unity and understanding. Oh, these fucking and immediately start pointing fingers.
Exactly.
But
and I think in Megyn Kelly's case, it's really interesting because she's had successful careers, I think, at Fox News and at MSNBC, if I'm not mistaken. So she's had experience from both sides of the political divide, and I think in any rational person's mind there has to be a time when you have to say, okay, screw it, I've had enough with what's on the right, had enough with what's on the left, I'm going to start my own alternate media thing. That's it's I'm not pledging my allegiance to whatever formal political doctrine is there. I'm just gonna simply state my opinion and I think
I will say for the record, I consider so-called left-wing media in this country right-wing media as well. I don't think that there's a left. I don't think that there's a left-wing contingent.
But they're owned by the same companies. I wouldn't be too surprised if they're just
I don't know if I call left-wing media right-wing media, but I would definitely agree that it's all the same shit.
It's conservative media.
It's all the same talking points, but it's
war hawking and
spewing all sorts of crap, and we're just
my
conditioned to believe this is real.
My producer says all the time, he was left-wing, right-wing, I don't eat fel. It's kind of just it's not necessarily too deep, but I always thought that was funny.
A left wing, right wing on the same freaking bird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true though.
It's like, you
it's
might
it's
as
all
well.
owned by the same. It's the two
Right.
puppets with the
And
same
this is
fucking.
Same
one
puppeteer.
of the most like historically right wing countries in the world, just in the past 200 years, I would say. Like, I mean, us, India, Poland. Now at this point, I mean, if we're talking about
the UK for a period of
right
time.
wing, yeah, sure, they're like barely a country now, though. It's so funny. It's so funny.
It's like
no
you go from
cultural
owning
relevance
1/4 of the world to about
don't
a
have any
piece of land
relevance.
the size of Michigan.
Right, yeah, and I mean,
Well
your
said.
number one export is like
Independence Days.
comedians. Yeah, like
Main
Fish and
export of
chips.
Britain is Independence Days.
basically.
Yeah.
So switching gears here a little bit. Do you have? And when I say ghost stories, what I really mean is, have you ever experienced
Dude,
something
were we talking about this?
It's like dream analysis.
before?
Yeah, at Mouthful.
Probably.
Okay, because like big.
This is
This is gonna take a long time.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I had this crazy
I'm here
dream.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I wouldn't really call this a ghost story per se. And it's like I told this to you, Jackson. And you were kind of freaked out by it. But basically,
Was this since you came on last time?
no, this is something completely new.
So it was since you came on last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But basically, so I was in this dream where I was like, there was this guy, and I couldn't remember who he was or what he was the entire time, but he was showing me down these hallways. They were kind of grimy, but they mostly looked sterile, like something out of a old high school. And lining these walls in this high school it's like they looked like these shower stalls from a distance, but they were actually just open air cryogenic freezers. And there inside each freezer there was like a little control panel inside each freezer intended to be operated by the person who was about to be frozen. And then all the people in these freezers looked vaguely familiar. Some of them were encased in ice. And this dude who was showing me down this hallway, he tries to throw me in one of these fucking freezers. And it's
This is a dream you had?
Yeah, I was
It's not
trying
a
to
dream.
fight
Me and
back.
Jones actually abducted you.
Yeah. Well, what's really weird is that it's like I know this is like a little small detail, but like inside these freezers, the control panels was like something you would find like in a shitty hotel room. It's just like the buttons for the light switches or whatever, and it's like they have like a little blue light in them. It's just push the button on, the lights come on. It was like that kind of panel. But where it really gets weird and freakish, for lack of a better description, is I don't know how I got out of the freezer, but there was another person behind me or next to me telling that there was like some sort of prophecy from hell where these bodies would.
It is.
It's like this prophecy from hell in which
we got the other Aussie right.
Like in basically the cryogenically frozen bodies would fly down and just these bodies which barely resembled their prior form, they would just fall from the sky and just wreak havoc on whatever was on the ground. And I remember it as clear as day. It was like a golden-ish cloud bank. It was pretty high up there. You can hear the breeze. And as these bodies were falling, they were falling like just like arrows, like lawn darts, heading straight for the ground. And they were all raggedy and, they barely, as I said, they barely resembled themselves. They look burned, like their skulls were kind of hollowed out, but most of their skin was still on them, like rags for clothes. It was really weird. And all you could hear as these bodies were falling down was just the breeze. All you would hear is there was no screaming, no sort of screeching or whatever. It was just the breeze, and these bodies were just falling head first like lawn darts straight for the ground. And it's like, wow. It's like, I don't know. Wow. I don't know, man.
Isn't that the one where like you said you heard your grandfather's voice or something?
No, that was a different one.
Yeah,
that was kind of weird. But
I thought that's where you're going.
No, that's a different story for a different day.
Yeah. What about you,
dude? Dreams. Well, I'll get to dreams in a second. I always like talking about that. But
yeah,
the only ghost encounter I think I've ever had was when I was like 8 or so. My dog at the time had just died. So I swear to God, this may have been a dream, but I do remember it vividly. I was like, I just got out from my room to like, get water or something, and then all of a sudden I was in this pitch black hallway. I saw the silhouette of that dog just walking
This is
past
a dream.
even if it was a dream, there's still like substantial. I mean, I believe that
no one knows.
Still very, very well. Yeah. What the fuck are dreams, bro?
No one
Dude,
knows.
Scientists
don't know.
This is something I can talk about.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah,
it is very similar to D&D.
So I mean, it could be legitimately the same
I'm
thing.
sure.
Just saying.
Okay, so you were in a hallway.
Yeah,
it was the exact hallway of that house.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
And then you saw
a silhouette. It was like a black form that resembled my dog.
Okay.
At the time, it was just
that is the first time I've heard ghost dog.
Ghost dog, yeah. That's the only
wild.
actual ghost encounter I remember having.
Is Ghost Dog a band?
Yeah,
I'm sure
now.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, you say the last few times that I've similar situation of like, is that a band name? People are like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And then
it
hasn't been.
I'm actually
It's
gonna
been
check
free
to
as
see
damn
if
shame.
Spotify has
Ghost Dog.
a ghost dog. Just
What is there a ghost dog in?
Sure.
In Nightmare Before Christmas.
There you go. Yeah.
He's the best.
Ghost dog.
While you're looking that up, what was your ghost story?
Yeah.
Let's go down that
It's
road.
very long.
I'm here
Holy
for
shit!
it.
There's actually
How
a
many
couple
monthly?
artists. Ghost dog.
How many monthly?
The one that
Are they-
actually
are they
says
green?
Ghost Dog has 76 monthly listeners.
So, do they have a blue check?
Yeah,
They got the blue check,
Boo.
On
and
Spotify?
this is
You can blue check on
some.
Yeah.
It's a
I
hip hop.
gotta do that. I didn't know you could do
Yeah,
that.
it's a hip hop act from North Carolina.
Sweet.
So that's pretty interesting.
Ghost dog.
Yeah, it goes GAWG.
DOGG.
Okay.
GH0S plus.
Yeah. These new hip hop names are starting to sound like the barcodes you would wear on your wrist. Like, hey, what's your code? Yeah,
We'll get there soon
807.
enough. We'll probably all have
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
holographic displays over our heads.
All right.
Ghost
story.
My name is yeah. We played this too long. Let's go
Yeah.
down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, truly.
Oh, we've got time.
Okay. Word.
We got 20 minutes, baby. Let's make them count.
So it has to do with this last album I did that I was talking about at the beginning of the year. So there's been like 3 or 4 different things that have happened. So yeah, my friend Carter, who I've known since I was like 9 years old, we went to camp together, like summer camp, and like taught me how to play guitar. We found out that we were 7th cousins once removed because his mom's really into genealogy and did our family trees.
That is so cool.
And yeah, it was fascinating and very fast friends. We'd written music together for like our whole lives, and Carter had a heart attack in his sleep at 25. He worked at a health club. It was like a very similar thing to like when athletes, like it's a like what do you call it? Like a blood clot that is loosened somewhere else in the body and then travels into your heart.
Okay, in the heart.
Yeah. Died in his sleep. It was probably just like instantaneous, no big thing, but it was very sudden and very unfortunate and very sad. He was an only child as well. Like his parents were. It's just a brutal part of life.
Yeah.
So I was heading to his memorial, his remembrance service, and I was with my friend River, who River is like an angel woman and is, also like me, very spiritual. Yeah. And when you hang out with, people of the same ilk, things get a little weird. So we were, I'm happy I have River because it's a little bit fantastic. We were up after the memorial service, his mom Lucy asked me to come to their house, and she was going to give me a lot of his gear, and I was going to take it back to Nashville, like a shit ton of equipment. And so the memorial ended. It was the next day, I believe, and River, Lucy, who's Carter's mom, and we were all in Carter's bedroom organizing stuff. And Lucy says, "I'm going to go downstairs and grab some lemonade or something, start off dinner." And Carter's bedroom was a long, like skinny bedroom, and River and I were like looking at a childhood photo of his that he has on his bedside, and like we're holding the frame together, and then all of a sudden, like River gasps and like grabs my arm and is like squeezing, and I like look up and she's looking like totally pale, looking all the way down the the long stretch of doorway, and I when I turn around by that time, all I see is a book that's like spinning in the middle of the room.
Whoa!
And she was like, even if the book had fallen off the shelf, it would have just gone like,
Yeah.
it goes like on the shelf to floor. It was like a good between 5 and 7 feet, like in the middle of the room, and like had momentum.
Wow.
And
So when you
River
said it
was
was
like
on the
that thing.
floor,
Yeah, in the middle of the room.
yeah,
Not
sure,
like
nowhere near the
yeah,
shelf.
not necessarily near.
It was,
And
the book was breakdancing, right?
But just about. I mean, on its flat on its face and spinning like that. And
You say
I
spinning
talked to
like this?
yeah,
Okay.
and like slowing down. It wasn't like doing anything
Sure.
crazy paranormal, but like it looked like there was a lot of momentum that it hit it, right? And River was like, I saw that whole thing. The thing just flew off the shelf, and we went over
Was
and
he known
grabbed
to be a
it.
bit of a jokester?
Carter, in his own way, but I don't. Well, the name of the book was called The Good Soldiers, and it was a book about the Civil War. But River was like, "Oh, that's us. We're going to be the good soldiers for Carter's music." Right,
Wow.
which is just her intuitive way of understanding that situation. Had a big freak out. We're like, "Okay, bye, Miss Holland. We'll see you tomorrow." The next day, we go to the Hollands for breakfast, and this is the start of this album getting made. Is this day? We go back. We finish packing the car, and we're like, "All right, well, we're ready to get out of here." And she's like, "Well, just 1 second. I got Carter's phone back. She sent it into like a break into my phone service, which apparently there are those where like they'll figure out your combination or whatever, or hack in and unlock it, and reset the password to nothing or whatever." And so she said, Carter's phone came in the mail this morning, and I was listening to it before y'all got over here. Check this out. There's all these songs. There's all these voice memos that he had been working on, and this is what. So she was like, "Would you turn these into real songs?" Basically, that's what I was working to use. But she said, "This one's my favorite. Check out this song. It's called 'There's a Ghost in My Room.'"
What the fuck?
Whoa.
And the song, over and over, he had written full lyrics, but this little demo that he had on his phone is him playing piano, and just over and over again, he's going, "There's a ghost in my room. I hope nobody sees. I hope nobody finds it, 'cause the ghost looks just like me. There's a ghost in my room." Over and over and over. And River and I are just like holding hands, like, "This is so wow, this is crazy, wow." And then like we were like, "Lucy, we like thought that we saw a ghost yesterday." She's like, "Oh yeah." She's like, "I'm sure of it." Like, I'm not surprised by that at all, right? Now it goes on.
Wow.
So that was a fucking freak out, and that's how the album started, was with that. I'm like, "Oh great, I gotta make this haunted record." Cool. I drop River off in Richmond. You can't see out of the back of my car. There's so much fucking gear, right?
Yeah.
Like a full drum kit, a mixer, guitars, amps, you name it, pedals.
As a 2-piece, we know that all too
Okay.
well.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Loading it all in. And
Tiny
I
SUV.
dropped. I have I had all the seats down. But I dropped River off in Richmond, and then I stopped in Durham, North Carolina, because my dad lives there. It was a very sad week. I'd just been to a funeral, and I wanted to cut the drive in half a little bit.
What happened?
Yeah, and spend some time with my dad, and also my grandmother, who at the time had already been declared dead twice. She had a stroke and a seizure, and then the last time, like, had just sort of like her heart stopped beating. They literally brought the EMTs out, and like as they're getting her onto the stretcher to like take her to the fucking morgue, she just like pops up. She's like, "What's everybody doing here?" Yeah, right. And my dad tells the story. Oh, it's crazy. It's so funny. But that was Hat. Her name's Hat. Harriet. Hat for short. So cool. She had a DNR tag on her wrist this whole visit. So my car is parked out in front of the house. My grandparents lived on a farm, so my dad was staying at the time. And it was about 9:30. So lights were out. And Hat and I were, it was almost her bedtime. Dad was inside cleaning up, taking care of the dogs. And Hat and I were holding hands like this. I was to the left of her. And we're just listening to the crickets and listening to the cicadas. And just sitting there in silence for like probably a good 10, 15 minutes together. And then she again, kind of gives me a squeeze. He's like, "Who is that out there?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, who don't you know that person?" I was like, and there's nothing. It's just like field and trees, right? And my car. And I was like, I don't think there's anybody out there. And she says, "No, do you not see him trying to get into your car?" And I was like,
where all the gear was.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, let's start robbing.
And so I probably, yeah. And I tell my dad, I was like, "Hey Dad, Hat's seen stuff." He grabs his like big old spotlight, a million candle power thing or whatever, and shines on the car. There's fucking nothing. We're like, "Well, what does he look like?" And she's like, "Well, he's dressed in all red," which is significant because the camp we went to, we were on the red team together when we were kids, and like so he like had this red suit on, according to my grandma. And I'm like, "Hat, there's no one out there." She goes, "No, there's someone trying to get into your car. He's right up. Oh, he's gone. He's gone now." And like again, my grandmother was not fully lucid, like the whole she multiple strokes, so definitely a foot in the door. And she would actually had ended up passing like 3-4 months after this, so she was like very close to the gateway. And I was like, "Cool, great, I've got a bunch of haunted gear in my car, whatever."
Wow.
Next day, had a big hug and kiss. My dad, big hug and kiss. Goodbye. Drive back to Nashville. This is the most compelling part to me. I was not even there to see it. I dropped all my gear off in my room, and I think I had to drive to Atlanta either for a gig or like a wedding or something. But I was like, "Yo, dude," I said to my roommate Sean, I was like, "Hey, I gotta go." I put everything in my room. I kind of set the drum kit up just for space, and then everything else just piled, and you couldn't even like walk to my bed hardly.
Yeah.
And I left. My roommate at the time, Sean, is like very much a rationalist, materialist, atheist, I would say, or like open to not really. That's sort of the point. Is like he's very well read. Yeah, incredibly.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yes.
One of my best friends, like we're like night and day on this.
Yeah,
and he's the same way.
And Sean is so well read on like all the holy texts, all of Eastern ideology, like the nature of God, all this stuff, but just sort of, I think,
skeptical of ghosts.
Oh, skeptical of everything. Like he said to me a lot at the time that he was like a skeptic of pretty much like across the board skeptic.
Wow.
Okay. And I don't know. Well, now, to this day, he'll still talk about it where it's just like, I don't have any explanation for it, which to him is like, haha,
those are always the most,
most
compelling to me is like when you have someone who's like profoundly atheist or like logic driven, and then they have an experience.
Dude, if you had talked to me the day before all this, like the day before Carter's funeral, I would have been like, "Oh, I'm sure there's phenomenology that are all explained, like the brain does." I would have been like all on that shit. And it's like, nope, ghosts are just fucking real as it stands. So
yeah,
I left all my gear. Sean, my sweet, amazing, genius, fucking logical, rational, material roommate, it's the next day. He was running up to his room to do some editing and work on some stuff. And the way our house works is it was like stairs, make a turn, stairs, and then our 2 rooms, right? Mine was on the left, his was on the right. And he is like kind of like, 2 stairs at a time, soft jog up the stairs, puts his foot on the last step, and like as he's going into his room on the right, just sort of glances, and I had the door cracked, and he says that there's somebody on the drum throne, like this, staring at it, just going,
what?
And just for a second, so he like, and I'm literally just like over the shoulder, and what, like, whoa, just goes into his room, corny of the eye, but he like saw somebody looking at it.
When was this? Was this like at night or something?
No, this was, he said afternoon.
Afternoon. Wow.
Yeah, middle of the day. Saw somebody in the drum kit, and then like shook it off and started working. But he told me, and this just the fact that he was compelled, like he felt something, be it an energy
like spooked, whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah, whether he was just scared or whether it was a like the gravity was heavier in that room or whatever. But he said that he just sort of felt a thing happening in my room as he was sitting there, and it compelled him to just sort of like put the keyboard down or whatever, and like looked over and leaned back over, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm so sorry about what happened, but like, thank you. We're gonna jam on this gear. You have you're in such a good house for all this stuff. Like, we're gonna use it. You're very welcome here. And I'm just so sorry about what happened. It's so tragic, but like, it's in good hands. Thank you. All just like an outpouring of love, and it was very much alleviated at like whatever weird thing in that room was happening.
Yeah.
Or like maybe he just felt better about himself by doing that. But I think that they're the same thing, right?
Sure.
And that was the last of Carter's ghost until it goes on. So crazy. I know.
Oh,
That's cool
God.
though. This is years and years. This is years and years later. And I heard that about Sean. I was like, dude, you don't fucking believe. And I told him like so it was just like crazy. And the whole time working on that album, I was like keeping in mind, okay, we're under some pretty heavy scrutiny. The last thing before soul was at rest was I went to Coachella for one day this year because Bjork was playing, and she's not.
Oh my god, I would go to Coachella just to see Bjork. That is fucking awesome.
That's right.
There's like no other reason to go to Coachella.
Exactly. Bjork. I got in and out of LA for less than a Coachella ticket costs. My friend in New York was like, I can't make it. Does anybody want it? She gave me like super amazing heavy discount. Took a Spirit flight there back for $200. So I'm like $400 in the hole. My friend let me stay at her place in Hollywood for free. Like gave me a key. Let me borrow her car. I drove out to the valley, like saw it, and then got back out. Didn't eat. I just hung out with my friend Kellen. Like I guess we had a couple dinners, but like a Coachella ticket's like $650. I was in and out of LA for like 500. Dude, crazy. Just one day.
That whole journey is just worth it to see Bjork.
100%. And she's not getting any younger. She's one of my favorite artists of all time. I had to do it. And she's not playing in the United States for like another 2 years. So
anyway, I would start a dog throwing league
just to see Bjork.
Yeah, that's what we call it.
Nice callback.
Flying Fido Foundation.
Yeah.
Throwing funds to
for Bjork.
Secure Bjork for a U.S. tour.
So who is at Coachella also this year is, unbeknownst to me, it was River. I made a little post where I was like, I'm going to Coachella. She's like, oh, I'm here working. I was like, no fucking way. And I meet up with her, and we're in the field, and like in between artists or whatever. And I think Kaliukas is playing, and she was like, man, Carter's here right now. And I was like, oh, what a sweet sentiment. And I was like, yeah, I think he is. And she's like, no, he's here right now. Like, and I was like, what do you mean?
He's like right next to me.
And she was like, when I was on the bus here, she took a bus, like I don't know where to where, but like into LA, or it might be LA to the Valley, but I don't know. She was like, there was only one, like it was a completely full bus, except where I was sitting, there was one empty seat next to me, and I was asleep. And when I was asleep, I had a dream that Carter was next to me, but the rest of the bus was empty.
Whoa.
And so then she'd wake up, and then it was the complete full bus to no one there. And yeah. So she was like, oh yeah, Carter came to Coachella to see Bjork with us. So I was like, sick.
That's fucking awesome.
That is.
And that was the last of the Carter
sightings.
ghost stuff. There will probably be more, God willing.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you for sharing.
If I ever run
that.
into Carter, I'll be sure to tell.
That's like heavy, and
yeah.
I mean, it makes me like, I'm like, am I a crazy person?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Well, if
it's
if
like there's
you are
already
crazy,
enough
then
gas. There's
we
already
just don't know what that means.
Yeah. There's already enough
enough.
gaslighting in the world. Don't do it to yourself.
I think I've had a lot of. I'm not going to get into them right now because Alice has heard all of this before.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of encounters with spirits,
cool.
and I think the conclusion I've come to is that we like to put it in these boxes of like, well, it's all in your head, or it's something external, and I think that's like the answer is it's somewhere in between. Like it's a handshake. It's your mind and this thing in conglomerate together.
Yeah.
To make this kind of connection.
Well put.
Sure.
Yeah.
As above, so below, right?
Yeah.
There you go. So
yeah.
It can be both and neither.
Yeah. Do you mind if I'm just gonna guess that most of these spiritual encounters were facilitated with a compound that is in between the letters C and U.
What?
Oh, I see what he's saying.
I don't.
DMT.
I mean, yeah, I've had a lot of crazy DMT trips. I've had a lot of crazy.
My roommate just had a crazy DMT trip. I thought I'd break that boy's brain. I'm glad it was fine. It's fine.
My last DMT trip, which I'm not. Again, I've already told this story, so I'm not going to get in. We can talk about it later if you want. But it made me think that like there's a real danger present. So I'm not not so sure that I'm going to do it again.
Dude, that's crazy because it was his first trip, and he's like one hit, and he said things were already doing weird, and I was like, let's do one more. And after he exhaled his second hit, he goes, no, and hops up on the couch, and I was like, okay. I was like, I don't think I'm prepared. But like, I did all of my shamanic stuff at the beginning and had a cleansing, sage smudge, and had nice music going on. It's like, I hope that there's nothing I can do about this. And then
give him a good smack. I'm sure that's a good ritual too.
Just
snap out of it.
I don't think that would have helped much at all.
Yeah, physical violence on him. When he's tripping
he
balls.
actually saw. He said that he saw our tapestry of Ganesh, and he was like, Ganesh was very calming to him, and as he saw that, just got down off the couch and laid down in his girlfriend's lap, and was just like wah, 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 for 10 minutes. What did you see? He was like indescribable, demonic, hellish fear landscapes. I was like, but damn, dude, that trip I see really fun, beautiful, colory things.
I've had the whole gambit of. I've had some very profound but positive experiences. Yes. I've had completely abstract, random experiences.
Yes,
and then I've had profoundly. My soul is at risk.
Bad, yeah. Well, Terrence McKenna says bad trips are good trips. They're just bad.
Okay, since you brought up Terrence McKenna, I have to do my Terrence McKenna impression because he talks like this, and the elves, they bring you these gifts.
Well, it's about the balkanization of epistemology. Aren't you aware?
That's good.
Of cultural dialysis.
Me and my roommate do it all the time. We do Terrence.
I thought mine was good.
We wanted to do a podcast called Terrence on Terrence, where we both talk like Terrence McKenna. And what stopped you? I don't know. We need to record it, I guess.
Do that shit right now.
It's I'll
it's like Christopher Walken being the moderator.
Just busting the door. We're doing this.
I hope
it's just this is a robbery. Let's do this fucking podcast.
James Joyce's take on the subconscious, of course.
Yeah.
The spirit, are you channeling Terrence?
I wish I could.
I wouldn't be surprised if Terrence just walks in the door right now.
Who the fuck is taking that place?
Imposters, all of you. You thought that you had your own reality.
You got the cadence, dude.
I listened to a lot of the stuff.
You thought you were a part of your own reality, and in
good, bro?
real life,
no, I'm dead after this.
You were a part of mine.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Wow. Shout out Uncle Terrence.
I'm not saying they're aliens, but aliens. Yeah.
Aliens.
One of the best pieces of advice my friend Alex Van Zeeland, who's a awesome stand-up and a model and an actress. All these, she's like super amazing, like talented, very funny. And she was like, "Why don't you do more impressions on stage?" And as soon as I did, like even just like accents and stuff and different characters, I started getting booked more. I was like, for stand-up, like specifically stand-up. She's like, "You need to write jokes that like you do your funny voices in." I was like, "Oh yeah."
You can definitely write some McKenna bits. That'd be great.
Yeah, but
Do you have a
who
good
the fuck
impression,
knows
bro?
about who Terrence? You know?
I might. I don't know. I feel like I.
It'd be niche, but worth it.
If it ever pops
Do you have any heckler stories?
up. Thankfully, not anything that has been too crazy. I was at like outside of like dealing with drunk people now. I was doing a thing at Bobby's Idol Hour one time where, for me, the best way to like, I'm not gonna. I don't know. I'll like personal ideology is like be like water full. You don't like harden, you soften, right? And boy, you should see how hard I am on stage. Rock hard stiff, got a stiffy up there. No. There's a dude who was like there with like a girl who's like a lot younger than him, like this bald, really drunk dude.
Lovely.
And like after every joke he would have like a little quip that wasn't all that funny. And I couldn't remember what the hell he said, but he was like, "Oh, I bet you like I was doing a bit about squirting," and then he's like, I bet you couldn't get your mom to squirt." I was like, I just go like, "What?" Like I said, and he's like, "Nothing." I was like, "No, what'd you say?"
Say it again.
He's like, "I bet you could." Well, I bet I'm saying like, if I was with your mom, I could get her to squirt. And I was like, I mean, that'd be great for her. Like, what are you trying to?
That's great.
Do you not want my mom to come hard, like that, or something like that? Where it's just like, I've seen Norm do it a million times, where he's just like, you say yes to whatever they're doing, and then it ends up they don't know what they're talking about because they're not funny. Like, or I always say also, if somebody's being mouthy or being like, I've got a bit about, it's barely about the Holocaust, but it is about like just a little. It's a little bit. Just a little. Yeah. And like if somebody gets upset about it, I'll just be like, "Hey, like, if you want to get up, if you want to be on the stage, the sign up list is right. Like you can be up here for 4 whole minutes, but like for now you're an audience member, so play your part, you know." So, and I don't want to be mean about it. I saw at the symphony one time. Jim James from My Morning Jacket was playing a solo acoustic show.
Oh, nice!
And it was beautiful. And I was way in the back, like you couldn't even hear it, but like there was somebody who was like within the first like 4 or 5 rows, and he got done with the song, and he's like, "Hey, before I begin this next one, y'all read like and I shot with it. He's like, would y'all mind like not talking, because I know like you're trying to be quiet. I appreciate it, but like I can hear you, and it's just like it's a very intimate setting, and it's just sort of it's not throwing me off, but I just want to be in the zone. I really want to perform to the best for y'all." And it started, people in the audience being like, Hispu, these people are talking, whatever. And Jim immediately he's like, no, I'm really not trying to point any sort of animosity towards these people. I just want to just say that I would rather, as a performer, have it like if you wouldn't mind, just please not having a conversation or like having the conversation outside. And it was like, okay, and they were like, "We're so sorry." It's like, "Oh no, it's all good." And you never need to.
That's very.
I also think
that's the most pleasant.
It was so great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right? But like, why shouldn't it be like that? I find
that man earned his signature Epiphone.
Yeah, he has, and a Gibson too, a signature Gibson as well. The affordable and the not so affordable versions. But like the it's very in this day, like if you have a hit heckler as a stand-up, that's the best thing for, because like, I got a TikTok clip, I got something that's gonna get 1 million views because you got a hit.
I'm addicted
and
they're so funny.
But also like are you just gonna be like mean to a person? I don't know, like you want to have the whole like comedian dismantles heckler, roasting heckler, this cash grab thing, and it's like, man, I don't think it's worth it to be like putting it online. No, not even the comedian of just being like, oh, look how like look how I can be mean on a moment's notice. Look how quick that I can be unpleasant, and because these people are being unpleasant, it gives me an excuse to be unpleasant. It's like, no, dude. So anytime I have a drunk person in a bar, I know this is a long-winded answer.
Oh, you're good.
Question, yeah. But like, I've never done anything other than just be like, wait, what'd you say? And then they'll say it again. I'll be like, oh, well, like, here's what I meant by this. And like, I don't know if what you said makes sense. And then if they're trying to get even more hostile, I'll be like, no, well, now you're really making yourself look bad. Like, I'm not, like, what are you getting upset about? Like, so hey man,
that's actually hilarious. That's really, really smart.
I like that approach.
Kind of, instead of just adding your own stupid into the mix, like, you're just accentuating his stupid while maintaining.
Yeah, well, it's
composure. That's really
cool. Keeping composure. Everybody wants to react, and anytime any sensory thing happens, especially if you're on stage with lights on you with a mic in your hand, the worst thing for you can do to sensory things out there is like the first thing you think of. And what I always try to do, Roundhouse talks about it, Eckhart Tolle talks about it, where you have the thing happen, and if you can just hold on for 2 seconds and then just like let your heart do the action instead of your brain, because the first thing you want to do is like, I'm gonna fucking get this guy. But if you're just like, what did he say? Hang on, wait. What are you talking about, bro? You know, and like starting from there.
Try to understand.
Yeah. Starting from a bed of instead of reaction.
That's
acting.
Another component to that is like, if you're just knee-jerk reaction, you're not actually responding to what they said. Whereas like this is a more like your approach is like more thought out of a response. Yeah, it's like
instead of an emotional like, hey, well, why don't you shut the fuck? You know, schoolyard type stuff. It's like, no, well, there's a responsibility, there's a integrity that comes with having the microphone up there. It's a very stand-up's a very sacred art form, especially with stand-ups, and for everybody involved, and it comes with a lot of responsibility. I'm not that great at it. I'm shit at it, really, like in comparison to people who are successful. I've got some good jokes, right? But like, I don't take the etiquette lightly at all, and the not culture, but like, well, I guess maybe
so like culture. A moral code.
Yeah, there's a code there, or just and like, it's easy to yell at a drunk guy. Sure. It takes a little bit more.
Low-hanging fruit.
Right, and then how can I make this how can I make this, because somebody starts barking up, the rest of the audience becomes uncomfortable. Yeah. And you have an obligation as the focal point of the room to diffuse it, and also these people are here to laugh. So make it something funny. And not funny like, well, shut up, you fat old bald fuck. Hey, look, this guy looks like his mom shit him out yesterday. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Get a new tattoo artist, you fucking piece of dog
sounds
shit.
Like Josh Homme.
Yeah.
2008. Hey,
no, just kicked him in the face.
Yeah.
That's like
fucking turnovers like
it's like there's Norwegian Wood 2008 Josh Homme, and you know that one little speck on the Villains tour Josh Homme. But then there's that other side of Josh Homme where it's like, bring me Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's like fucking and then he makes an appearance at this year's Victor. He's like, I've had more sex with this motherfucker than anybody in the world.
He said that to somebody in the audience?
No, to Spider-Man.
To a
guy dressed as Spider-Man.
Oh, that's really quick.
What was the first encounter with that? What was that at?
Did he say it was the first time? Like,
I don't remember. It was at Victor, but I think he was like 3 times, because like in 2018 he had this sign that said, I'm back.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 2011 or something.
Are y'all big Queens of the Stone Age?
Dude, we're seeing them this Saturday.
Wait, where?
Ascend Amphitheater.
Oh, kick ass.
I'll go stand on the bridge.
No, dude, it's easy to sneak in. It's so easy.
Oh, Ascend?
Dude, I've gotten into Ascend where like I used to like borrow my roommate's camera and then put a bunch of fake like, we're like, oh, I need to get backstage. Right? And people
what?
But one time I did it literally without a just like with camera equipment. I had like an empty camera bag.
Oh my god!
I was like, I need to be in there already. I'm late, and would just walk. I'm like, oh, I'm so late. And just go in. And people are like, oh, right this way. And you go through the entrance through the like little playground in the back.
Oh my!
I mean, you gotta have some. It's gotta you know,
I
you
saw,
gotta,
present qualifications.
yeah, you gotta have some nuts. But I've done it. Like
That's awesome.
I've snuck
Alright,
into.
quick Best
I don't
Buy
think I've ever
search
paid for
Oh,
it.
wait, I
What?
wouldn't even go as far as that. Like, since I'm glad enough, I'm super grateful to be working as a guitar repair apprentice at MIRC. Shout out Jason Gano, CEO, big boss man. I might as well just show up to Ascend like, oh, I'm just an apprentice tech here for this one gig, just overseeing what the operation's like. I mean, I got my toolkit, I got some feeler
Hey,
gauges.
give it a try. Life's too short, right?
Yeah.
And if they're like,
we're gonna do kick you out.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And then,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and then know when to run.
Yeah.
You know, if they're like, actually come this way, we're like, nah, I'm gonna go the other way.
Yeah.
I'll go that way.
Just it would
Also,
probably be a
anybody
better
that does not have a
right?
fucking badge is not worth like you can talk. You don't have to talk to them unless they're like a real fucking cop. In which case you can be like, officer,
Yeah.
and they haven't given you a lawful order to stop.
We're getting some really sound advice
really
today.
bad. That's really.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't listen. I was a delinquent growing up, so I have a lot of my dad.
I mean, both of us are autistic, so I think we're kind of in that same sort of camp.
Yeah,
Delinquency.
sure.
Youthful, optimistic, and
getting
fluffy
into it.
delinquency.
Since living here, especially, like we've been chased one time, I think.
Where are you from? And how long have you been?
I used to be out of New Jersey.
Okay.
And I've only been here for a little bit over a year.
Okay.
It's like approaching 18 months in that
Okay.
sort of
Oh, so you just gotten here when we met?
Yeah. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I
thought
was
you'd been here
fresh. It's fresh meat. I still am. But yeah, it's like New Jersey really wasn't like the right sort of place.
What made you choose Nashville?
Well, we have family in Clarksville.
Oh yeah.
And just New Jersey is, sinking into this sort of like decline as it always has been. It just took more of a spike downward as you might assume. It's on the less superior side of the Hudson, so there you go.
I mean, I always
shout out Elias Solomon, my only favorite Mets fan.
Are you a Yankees fan?
We don't talk about that in public because Elias will start to get territorial. But yeah, like admittedly, I said to him that it's like, and I was stupid enough to say this in front of a fucking Mets fan. I was like, yeah, Mets fans are used to rejection. And he pulled out all this Mets garbage, just started flexing on me like this. And it was hilarious. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
The Mets suck. They might be the worst sports organization in the world. And I love it. I really love it because, I don't know, New York sports in general can eat my balls.
Bing bong.
I love it when the South will rise again in terms of like national championships, Super Bowls and stuff.
It's kind of like the Jets that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like the rabbi that used to be like, the synagogue that I used to go to.
I knew you were Jewish. I was literally going to say like 5 seconds ago. I was like, "Are you a Jewish?"
What gave it away?
This man's name is Ozzie Richmond.
That I look like fucking Bob Dylan in 1965. I don't fucking know.
Well, look, hey, I mean,
it's an ancestral advantage.
I've got to wait.
It's the Wizard of
you
Schnoz
to say it before. I'm not just gonna be like, "Are you fucking Jew?" Right? You're a Jew.
Yeah, I got the lineage to back that shit up. Like, yeah, yeah, cool. Oh, you want to hear a fucking joke? You want to hear a Jewish joke? Okay, buckle up. Okay, so.
I knew it. That's so fun. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so I gotta. Oh, shut up. I gotta do this really edgy joke because this is the Rhetoric Rabbit Hole podcast. So
home of the edgy Jew joke.
Yes, sir. So there was oh, you idiot. So there was this economics student, right? And he had this really radical professor. The student was really in the dumps, and his professor was really getting to his head. So he calls a suicide hotline and gets connected with a call center in Pakistan. The guy on the other end of the line in Pakistan, as the economics student is telling this guy his situation, he gets really excited, and it's like he sort of broke his composure. He's like, "Yeah, can you drive a truck?"
Ooh, that fell flat. I don't get it either.
It's like he's calling a suicide hotline. He's connected with a call center in Pakistan, and the guy on the other end of the line is like,
Oh, I get
he's
it.
like, "Yeah, can you drive a truck?"
Like a suicide bomber. So that he's like, it's not a suicide island. You're good.
Yeah.
Dang. That was clutch, Jackson. That was clutch.
Ooh. Oh,
sorry,
one time I did stand up outside one time and a joke didn't do well and you could literally hear the cricket. It was like, I was like, oh fuck. I'm not doing that bad, am I?
Oh God.
That's hilarious.
But
Yeah.
honestly, I was gonna go back to when you said that you think you're shitty at comedy. I feel like part of stand up in general is charisma.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
very.
So it's like charisma in general.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
That's like
it's
a
like you certainly got it.
charismatic.
It's like charismatic and humble about it.
Yeah.
And it's I think that's like the perfect package right there.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
Obviously gotta be funny too.
yeah, well, there's are you wrapping it up?
Yeah,
I gotta wrap it up
Okay,
pretty soon because I got a work day tomorrow, and
I was right.
No
So
worries.
I
I
gotta
totally understand. I'd
he's
say
got the keys, like.
Yep.
So I guess I'll leave it to you or Alice or whoever
Yeah.
wants to
I got
cap it off tonight.
I got one more question. Were you gonna say something before that? I thought you were in the middle of something.
I don't think so.
It's not now.
But maybe we should
that's fine.
get together on a separate episode because
Yeah.
I kind of got some other talking points that
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't want to, that didn't
This is,
manage to get.
Open table. Jones, you're always welcome back, and of course, Scarlet Magnum is always welcome at the Rhetoric.
Yes, sir.
At the
It's nice to meet both of y'all.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too.
So, given everything we've talked about tonight, and no one really, knows the answer, so just kind of inclinations. What do you think happens after we die?
I mean,
Just dug ourselves way deeper, man.
no, I'll do it quick. I think that just like, not to get into hermetics, like I found that like yeah. Well, I just find that there are fundamental truths of this life, and I think that it applies to life in general. And there's micro things and there's macro things. I think one of them that we could very easily touch is like sleeping states versus waking states, right?
Yeah.
So that are two most prevalent forms of consciousness, right? And just like life, consciousness, breath, being, whatever, you have blooming, and then you have like an exhale, and then an inhale.
Like a wilting, right?
That's sex. It's the coming together and the coming apart and the coming back together. And then there's the coming.
Yeah,
well, wait.
cycling. So
before all of that is the.
Not for me. No, not for me. Yeah, I do believe that it's like, in a way that's probably beyond comprehension. It's like some sort. You say reincarnation, and there's ideological or cultural association with that word. I mean, like, well, you'd be another person, and it's like maybe not. I believe that like.
Well, you could be a cow and just be just like have the right to cross every street in India, no uncontested.
Sure, or you could be the Noid from Domino's.
Sure, but yeah, it's something. Yeah, way more nuanced like that. Of like, or you're on it's a completely different like universe reset button. The physics are slightly changed, therefore the biology is slightly changed. Just like a slider that's slightly different. Then it's like, well, when do you want to be in this new universe? And you're like, choose right here.
I have this I have this idea that I haven't fleshed out all the way. That's like, if there is something, then there must be everything. Like, if something exists, then everything.
And then there's a time of nothing.
There's
the void.
It's like an accordion, dude.
Yeah,
you're just big banging over and over again.
Yeah,
bang. Even if you look at like what like theoretical science is almost confirming what religion has said for years, where you have like the focal point and this spreading, and then they're like, oh, it's eventually going to reach this heat death, and it's like a fucking strand of DNA. It looks like the universe is a strand of DNA going out and then back in.
Oh yes. As far as we can tell, outward is infinite, and that appears like you can go infinitely inward.
Correct.
Also. Like
Inward.
All right, we're done.
With that, sorry, Alice.
Jones in the bumps. Scarlet Magnum. Links below. Have a good night.
Y'all knows the drill. Have a great night, everybody. Rocket Venom forever.